Blog Talk Radio.
Hello again, everyone. I'm Joe LaGenusa, welcoming you to another edition of Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where past greats, current professionals, and industry leaders all come together and discuss the great game of golf. Today, Chris welcomes Next on the Tee, the three-time winner of the PGA Tour, Kenny Knox, and also next on the tee, the Senior Director of Marketing for Adams Golf, Jeff Wood. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show with your host, Chris Mascaro. Chris, take it away.
Hey, thank you, Joe LaGenusa. I really appreciate how great you kick the show off every single week. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me next on the tee. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and today I have the privilege of talking with two great guests, and I appreciate them knocking the dew off the first tee with me. First up is going to be three-time winner on the PGA Tour and one of the great putters of our time and the short game expert, Kenny Knox. Kenny is also into course design and has his own wedge and putter line, so he's going to join me here in just a few moments. We'll talk about his wonderful career and the things that he's doing now. A little later, I'll be joined by Adams Golf Senior Director of Marketing, Jeff Wood. I'll chat with Jeff about the relaunch of their Tight Lies Fairway Woods, also about the Adams Pro Tour. They're very cool, Own the Second Shot program. You're going to want to listen to this. It's a great thing that they're doing on their Pro Tour, a second chance for guys to make the cut. And we'll also talk about Ernie Els making the switch from Callaway over to Adams Golf. He's going to join us probably about 20 minutes from now. But before we get started, we want to kick off the show by saluting our military personnel listening in on the Armed Forces Radio Network. It's Memorial Day weekend, folks, so it's time to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for us. So many brave veterans laid down their lives to help protect our freedoms and our liberties. Please remember them in your thoughts and prayers. And if you see a veteran, not only this weekend, but anytime, take a second, say thank you to them. They're going to appreciate it. We need to appreciate them. Let them know how much we appreciate their service to their country and to each and every one of us. We also want to thank those who are serving in every branch of public service. We truly appreciate your sacrifices. Our sincere thanks as well to Sean Cruz, Stephen Lee, and all the folks at Armed Forces Radio Network. It's an honor for us to be a part of your network. You can find us online by going to armedforcesradionetwork.org and clicking on the sports link that you're going to find in the bottom right-hand side of their homepage, or on the radio link that you'll find in the upper right-hand corner. Also, please be sure to give those guys a follow on Twitter, at the AFRN, the Armed Forces Radio Network. Now joining me is Kenny Knox. Kenny, let me give you a little bit about his background. He's from Columbus, Georgia. Attended Florida State University, was an All-American his senior season. Kenny won 3 times on the PGA Tour, the 86 Honda Classic, the 87 Hardee's Golf Classic, and the 1990 Buick Southern Open. As I mentioned at the top, Kenny is also one of the best putters of our time. In 1989, he set a putting record on the MCI Heritage Classic. He had 8 putts over 9 holes, 18 putts over 18 holes, and only 93 putts over 72 holes. He is currently teaching golf in Tallahassee, Florida, and I'm honored to have him as part of Next on the Tee with me this morning. Kenny, thanks for being here.
Hey, Chris, it's great to be here for y'all.
Indeed.
I'll never forget that. You know, we get on the first tee and you get ready to hit. You got the announcer, and in the South they say "for y'all," and so we really enjoy that down here in the South. So I just wanted to welcome you from the great South.
Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you, Kenny. Let's start at the beginning. Now, golf is so often a game passed along from parent to child. My father introduced me to the game. Talk about how your father and your parents actually got you involved in the game of golf.
Yes, my father, he started playing golf a year before the rest of the family did in Columbus, Georgia, and he was the one that introduced me. I was on my first golf course with him in Phoenix City, Alabama, riding around in the golf cart watching him play, hack it around, and he was a man of 39 years old at that time, and so he started late in life. in the construction business, so he kind of got us started. I had 3 older brothers and my mother, and my mother kind of took it from there, and basically I played a lot of my golf. Most of my youth was playing golf with my mother in the afternoons after she would have a full day, and we would get out of school, and she'd pick us up and take us to the golf course, and we'd have a big time out there on the golf course. Or in the summers, she'd drop us off when the dew was on the ground, and we'd be teeing off at Columbus Country Club early in the morning and be out there all day long, practicing, chipping, putting, having matches with other junior golfers. We had a very well-known contingent of golfers in Columbus, Georgia, that have very, very accomplished golfers coming from that city.
Mm-hmm. So you were a phenom, because as I was reading about your background, Kenny, you really started at the age of 9, and by 12 you're already shooting par. Now, it typically takes people a decade just to be bad at the game. What enabled you to get such be so good so quickly?
I think I had a lot of great mentors. Actually, I had a lot of really, really good amateur players to watch. And I really just fell in love with the game. I was already playing baseball and really loved baseball. And, of course, Mickey Mantle and the boys were all my heroes. And so I just was a natural athlete, enjoyed it, put a lot of time into it, had fun. I remember one day when I was 12 years old, I shot 34 on the front 9 and went out the back 9 and cruised in with a little 39 for my lowest round of my life at 73 when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
Made my first hole-in-1 when I was 12. Won the Southeastern Junior 12 and under division by 27 shots. So I there were a lot of phenoms back in those days. I remember Buddy Gardner from Montgomery, Alabama was the real phenom in those days. He was nationally recognized for his junior golf, and thank goodness he was 1 year older than me, because he would win the 12 and under and then move on to the 13, then I would win the 12 and under, and we did all the way through our junior days. And he ended up going to Auburn University, and, of course, I went to Florida State University, and we competed against each other in school.
Wow. I got a hole-in-1 at 12. I've been playing the game for 30-some-odd years, still waiting for the first one to happen. 12 years old. What? Take me through that. What was the hole? What was the yardage? And then describe the emotion at 12.
It was the 9th hole at Columbus Country Club, about 140 yards uphill, and just knocked it right in the hole, and then went on to have another baker's dozen after that. So it's been I've been fortunate enough to have quite a few hole-in-ones, had them in golf tournaments, PGA Tour events.
Right.
Had one over in Japan when I was playing over there, touring around there after the season and the postseason tournaments over there. And it's been, I've been able to make some. Some people say they play their whole life and don't make any. They're actually more accomplished than me. So it's just one of those things where some people make a bunch of. So it was fun to make it when I was young, and obviously, and it kind of got in my mind thinking, that. I guess it's like getting that first pickle out of the jar, that first one's the hardest one, and then the rest of them come easy after that, Chris.
I'm sure trying to get that first pickle out of the jar. Kenny, it wasn't an easy road for you to get on tour. Talk about how you persevered in order to get your card.
Well, it wasn't easy. You're right. I thought that I would, come right out of college and do well. I won my first professional tournament on the J.C. Goosey's Space Coast Mini Tour right out of college, and I just got through winning the Southeastern Amateur, so I was ready to play at that time, and unfortunately I wasn't as good as I thought I was, because I wasn't able to hold up under the intense pressure of the qualifying schools. Back in those days, we played 2 schools a year, played one in the spring, one in the fall. And it took me 3.5 years, 7 tries to get my first tour card. And my first year on tour was 1982, and I failed miserably, lost my tour card. And then I played the TPS tour, which is now, of course, the web.com tour. And I finished 7th on that money list that year in 83. And then I got my tour card back in 84 and failed again. And then I got my tour card back in 85 and failed again. And so I went down in 86. I had partial status on the tour, having finished in the top 150 on the money list, but not the top 125. I went down to Monday, qualified for the Honda Classic, and the rest is history. I won the golf tournament by one shot over Andy Bean and Clarence Rose, and finished 24th on the money list that year, having not played the entire West Coast. Had a phenomenal season, just right out of it. Just broke through for me. I just gained that confidence, and that snowball started rolling downhill and picking up momentum. I had 6 good years on the tour where I was in the top 75 on the money list 6 years in a row. I was 32nd on the money list in 1991, not winning a golf tournament. Then I hurt my back in early 92, and basically never returned. My back injury left me with very little confidence in my golf swing. I couldn't make the same swing I was making before, where I was able to hold my spine angle and hit that ball down the left side and know that it never was ever going to go left. And so consequently I lost my confidence, and there's no time for losing your confidence on the PGA Tour, because they'll run right over you. But I did accomplish the feat of winning at my hometown in Columbus, Georgia, my last tournament win in 1990, and I won at my rival club in Columbus, the Green Island Country Club, and what a great win that was. It was a great way to win a golf tournament dedicated to my late father, who had passed away when I was 19 years old, and he was buried not too far from that golf course, and so that was my last win. And then I had a good year in 91, of course, and then ever since then I've been trying to figure out a way to stay in the game.
So talk to that. You talk about losing your confidence and whatnot, but how has that translated into your enjoyment of the game now?
Well, after I beat my head against the wall, I compared it to like getting in the ring with Mike Tyson. you just keep getting in there and just keep getting the snot beat out of you. So it was tough. It was very difficult when you had high expectations. I had a pretty good little career, good little run there. And my expectations were high, but unfortunately my game was letting me down. My confidence was not there. I'd lost my swing, and it was difficult. So I had to figure out a way. I still knew, how to swing the golf club. I just wasn't able to put it all together, and I got very confused out there. You start listening to everybody you can listen to. There's golf instructors on every corner, and they're trying to help you, and you're trying to figure out something out, and you're trying to do things you've never done before that you're not comfortable with. Get closer to the ball, get further away from the ball, tilt your spine, stand straight over it, all these, get more vertical, lay the club off, swing the club longer, shorten it up. I mean, the whole gamut, swing, hit a draw, hit a fade. I mean, the whole thing is just a mass confusion. And my hat's off to the Fred Folks of the world that can persevere through all the difficult times and have a long career in golf and be able to sustain it for such a long period of time.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard interviews recently with David Duval sort of going through the same thing, right, trying to reinvent himself. And he mentions, you got all these people trying to get in your ear, and it sort of becomes like noise after a while and confuses you, and you've got so many swing thoughts and all of that sort of thing. Now, he's trying to put his game back together. Did you ever just take some time away from it and go, all right, enough. I've heard it all. Let me just try to figure this thing out on my own?
Well, that's what I've been doing the last 20 years. Unfortunately, it was forced retirement. I did make a run on the Champions Tour when I turned 50. I did have some exempt status. I played 40 tournaments out there, and I made $260,000, which wasn't near enough to keep my exempt status. And again, I lost that status and just decided not to go back down that road of trying to Monday qualify and spend good money after bad, trying to beat people that have been beating me for the last 20 years.
So you had the opportunity to play with some of the greatest golfers of all time. Who taught you the most, and who did you enjoy playing with?
Well, I think J.C. Snead probably helped me with my golf swing the most back in '85. That's when I really started turning it around. he gave me a golf lesson on the practice tee at Green Island Country Club in Columbus in 1985, and I went out to 64 the next day, and it was a great lesson, and one that really helped me and actually propelled me to win the Honda Classic. And so I give him a lot of credit. I learned a lot of golf from Mac O'Grady, but it got a little too confusing. I think he was a genius, but and knew a whole lot about the golf swing, obviously. But it just got a little too confusing and too mechanical for me. I'm more of a natural athlete. On the golf course, I spent a tremendous amount of time with Jack Nicklaus, actually playing major championship practice rounds. We would play just about every major championship that I was in. I would approach Jack and we would play practice rounds, and he and I would go out and play Greg Norman and whoever Greg wanted to play, and it built my confidence tremendously, and it taught me a lot about course management. Of course, I couldn't hit the ball like Greg and like Jack, but I could get it out there okay, and of course my short game held me up pretty good. So I think they learned a little bit about my short game when they both started calling me one putt all the time.
Right. I read, speaking of going out and playing practice rounds, I read an article on the Back Nine Network site about a friendly bet that went on in a practice round between Ben Crenshaw, Phil Mickelson, Paul Azinger, and the late Payne Stewart. What started out as sort of a friendly $50 Nassau turned into a putt on the last hole for $1,600, sort of something right out of Caddyshack. When you guys were playing, did anything ever sort of make you go, "Ooh, this is serious out here. This isn't just let's play a practice round together"?
There were a few guys that gambled a little bit, but in all honesty, not really. We would play for $10, and I think I still got that first $10 that I won from Norman. So it's
good for you.
And it just really was more about, for me, it was about playing with the best and learning from the best. Certainly, you need to put yourself in pressure situations, but it's a different type of pressure, I think, when you're gambling and when you're. I feel the same amount of pressure when I'm playing for $5 as I do for $100. So it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's only money, and then out there you can go get some more out there. So,
yeah,
it's But now, I know that those guys do like to play because, let's face it, it used to be when I was coming up, you couldn't afford to play the tour, and now you can't afford not to play it. I mean, they're making so much money now. What is $1,600? I mean, the caddy fees have gone from $300 a week to, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000 just for the base salary, just for the caddies. So. Wow. The money has just skyrocketed. It's something that I'm not really honestly not that familiar with. I think my biggest check ever was a runner-up finish in '91 when I lost the playoff to Mike Holbert. I think I made $110,000, but I won $90,000 on the Classic and $90,000 for winning the Hardee's, and I think $106,000 for winning the Buick Southern. So. The money just wasn't there in the 80s and early 90s, and then it started picking up, later on in the 90s, and $180,000 was a $1 million golf tournament. That was a huge golf tournament back in those days.
Yeah.
So now those guys are they're making $1.8 million for winning a tournament. So it's great. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great thing that's happening out there. I hope it doesn't end. I hope they can continue to find the sponsors and continue to. They have a great product. I think they have the best product in all of sports. I think the PGA Tour is certainly something that. The great thing about the tour is everybody can relate. Anybody, you don't even have to be an athlete to play golf and enjoy it. And that's not the case in all the other sports. I mean, you can't play those other sports unless you're ready to do what it takes and have that ability. But in golf, you got the handicaps, and you can really enjoy golf, play with people of similar handicaps. I think that's the great thing about golf. and look at all the different ways that people play golf. I mean, we have a lot of, we have national handicap tournaments. We have national, the blind tournaments. I mean, anybody can play golf. You can sit, you can sit in a wheelchair and play golf. I just think it's a wonderful game, and it's just a true inspiration to see people play golf that are handicapped, because it's just you just know that they're out there for the pure enjoyment and not necessarily trying to see how much money they can make off the other guy. Right.
So you talked about being called one putt. I talked about, at the beginning, the putting records that you set at the Heritage Classic. You've got a wedge and putter line that you've actually come out with at Kenny Knox Golf. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I feel like that, my expertise is in the short game. I led the tour, in with the least amount of putts for a number of years. I was always in the top 5, and those 6 years I really played well. I was always up there in the putting statistics. I actually led the tour one year in birdies, and trust me, I was not hitting that many greens. My short game held me up. I would never fear going after the flag, because I was able to, just hit at the flag, and I'd either, chip the ball in or tap it in with an up and down. So I decided to get into the golf business with putters and wedges, and I'm very, very excited about what's around the bend. Next month we're introducing a line of putters called the Transformer line. And what we're doing there, Chris, is we're going to be able to fit people for their custom-made putters. And so we're going to set up fitters around the world that can have our fitting system, and for a very nice fee, not anything too expensive, just a nice fee, you can actually get a custom-made putter. And what it's all about is alignment. We've discovered that most people that go in the golf shop and pick up a putter because they see their favorite player using that putter, and they go on the green, and it may feel good to them, but they may not be lined up correctly. So we've decided that alignment is a way to fit somebody for putters. Of course, you're going to fit them for length and lie angle, but you need to fit them for the right putter style. In other words, we have different heads with different hosel fittings. And so we will actually fit that individual according to where they line it up using the laser system. And so when you set down a mallet that's a heel shafted with a plumber's neck mallet, you may think that's the putter you should be using, but it may line you up as much as 8 inches to the left of the hole from 8 feet. And
wow.
Oh, absolutely. And so through a process of elimination, we may end up putting you into if we do determine that you're a mallet player, that's great. We can put you into a straight-in bore, center-shafted bore putter that lines you up dead on the target. So then you have the total confidence to set up and make that putt, just make a normal stroke and not have to make compensations in your stroke. Because I guarantee your mind's eye will sense whether you're lined up left or right. Even though you're actually thinking that you're lined up correctly, but you keep missing the ball to the left, well, it's not necessarily because you're pulling the putt. It's because you're lined up incorrectly. So we're going to come out with a line of mallets and a line of blades with different hosels and different bore holes, and we'll have fitters set up all around the world so that you can go to and they will fit you. And it's a simple 15 to 30-minute fitting process. That fitter will make the order to us, and we'll turn that order around in 48 hours. You'll have your putter in 4 to 5 days after the fitting. And it'll be a wonderful product, and it will be your custom putter.
Wow, that sounds fantastic. So how soon is that going to be available?
It's going to be available next month, actually. It's we have it. We're waiting on it. Everything's in production right now as we speak. And we're getting product over from Taiwan, the raw heads, and we'll be milling the faces here in the United States, and we can actually mill to weight. So when you decide that you want, our putters come in around 360 grams, and you want or 370 grams, and you want a 360 gram putter, we can mill it down to 360 grams, and get the exact weight that you want. It can be your absolute custom putter.
Wow, that's fantastic stuff, Kenny. I've got my next guest, Jeff Wood, hanging on the line. Going to get to him in just a second. Before we let you go, though, Kenny, your wedges, I was reading about them. You've got a tour-preferred natural finish that's going to enhance shot-making performance. What does that mean?
Well, the Tour preferred natural finish. The natural finish is what most tour players prefer because it responds better off. The golf ball responds off the club face better. It actually grabs the ball a little bit better. Whenever you start coating these things with chrome and the different finishes that they put on them, the ball comes off the face differently. My experience in chipping and educating people and teaching people on how to chip the ball, pitch the ball, if they don't have the proper technique with the proper equipment, the golf ball will climb up the club face, and you'll get that ball that comes out high, loft, and then it'll come out low, and you get a very inconsistent ball flight when you're hitting these chip shots. So with my chipping technique and my wedges, they were actually designed by Jose Maria Olazabal, who was obviously a friend of Seve Ballesteros, as I was. Seve used to teach me how to grind my wedges. So we've combined our efforts into making a wedge that people can, you can custom grind them. If you want them ground a certain way, they're forged wedges, so we can grind them that way. And I'm also experimenting with a QPQ processing that it's a heat finish on it, and it's going to make the wedges black also, because some of the people don't like the natural finish. It's not pretty or whatever, but this black finish is gorgeous, and you're not able to scratch it. So that's something else I'm working with right now and experiment with the wedge to make sure it performs as well as the natural finish wedges do.
That's fantastic. That's all great stuff, Kenny. How can our listeners, A, find you online, and B, keep track of what's going on, and also on social media?
It's really easy. If you know my name, it's really easy. Kenny Knox Golf. Just think about Kenny Knox. And so you go to www.kennyknoxgolf.com, or you can email me at kennyknoxgolf@gmail.com. And obviously the Twitters and the Facebooks are all Kenny Knox Golf. So just Kenny Knox Golf.
That's fantastic. Kenny, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to join me. You're fantastic to talk with. I hope you'll come back again sometime, and update us on how things are going, and the wedge system and the putters you've got going on out there, and as well as where people can find it worldwide to get themselves all get their custom-made equipment. Plus, they'll talk a little more about your career and what's going on around the game of golf. But it was a pleasure having you on Next on the Tee this morning.
Hey, Chris, I appreciate it, and I do pray that everybody has a wonderful Memorial Day, and I do thank all our veterans out there for what they do for this country. It's certainly something that we take for granted, and it's at a point in our lives where we really need to focus on our military and beefing it up and getting it where we feel more protected.
Absolutely. Kenny, thanks again for being here. All the best to you and your family.
All right, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you having me.
All right, take care, Kenny. Catch up soon.
Bye-bye.
Great stuff from Kenny Knox. Wow, very exciting with the new equipment. Looking forward to catching up with him again and hearing more about that. We're going to get to our next guest, Jeff Wood, right after this brief station break.
This is Joe LaGenusa from Thursday Night Tailgate, and you're listening to On the Tee with Chris Mascaro on the Armed Forces Radio Network.
Now joining me is Adams Golf Senior Director of Marketing, Jeff Wood. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Hey, Chris. Good morning. Thank you very much for having me on.
So, Jeff, obviously doing some research and looking up all the new things coming up, this golf season at Adams Golf. You guys are reintroducing the Tight Lice fairway woods, which was one of my favorites several years ago. Talk more about why you guys decided to relaunch that brand.
Yeah, Chris, you're not the only one that remembers the original Tight Lice. We have a lot of golfers out there that have fond memories of the original one back in late 90s, I guess, mid to late 90s. The fairway wood that was easy to hit. It was promoted on a infomercial with Barney Adams, the founder of the company, and Hank Haney was a part of it back then.
Right, I remember that.
So, yeah, a lot of people had the fairway wood in their bag, and it really put our company on the map back then. And ever since that point, we've grown into a substantial golf company and equipment brand. And middle of last year or so, we reintroduced the Tight Lice fairway wood. with some of the same design features that the original one had. The low-profile design that really gets under the ball, the tri-level sole design that helps it kind of cut through the turf and the rough and all of those tight lies that you find yourself in. And then we introduced the velocity slot technology that we've kind of incorporated in a lot of our metal woods and hybrids in the past few years. So there's a slot on top of the crown and a slot on the sole. And what that creates is that trampoline effect off the face. So the ball pops off that face and launches off that face a lot hotter than a standard fairway would. And it's been a great success for us. We're really excited about relaunching that and providing a new type of fairway wood that is in the market for the golfers out there. You know, a lot of the fairway woods that have been designed in the past, 5 or 10 years are really mini drivers, and a lot of golfers are using their fairway woods off the tee more than they are drivers because they have so many of the same benefits and the same technology that drivers are built with. And we just decided, you know what, let's get back to what a fairway wood needs to be. It needs to be that versatile club that gets you out of a lot of trouble and gets you the distance you need and puts you back into a position to score pretty well out there on the golf course. So it's been a huge success, and we're just excited. We've got some future plans with the Tight Lies brand that golfers will see here in the remainder of the year. So it's been a pretty good run with us so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think you talked a second ago about it, Jeff. But when I was looking it up online, you guys are sort of you're marketing it as cut-through slot technology and then upside-down design. Just for lay golfers like me, what does that mean?
Well, the upside-down design is really, Barney did this back in the 90s with the original Tight Lies, and he looked at the shape of a fairway wood at the time and really flipped it and turned it upside down, and so that the crown of the fairway wood is down below the top of the golf ball, and it's more of at the middle point of the golf ball, that the crown. So your fairway wood is sitting lower and it's getting the ball up, and that was his message: is upward and forward, and get the ball airborne, because so many people were having trouble getting the ball up in the air. And he saw it as a custom fitter out on the driving range. That's what he noticed. So he really developed that original design of the upside down design and patented that. And then we've come along and used that same design with this new Tight Lies. And then the cut through slot is the actual. You can, if you pull away some of the metal, there is a cut through slot that goes from the crown of the club to the sole of the club, and there's really nothing back behind the face of the club that's supporting that face. So it's really flexible and really gives that spring-like effect that makes the ball really launch off of it in a hot ball flight.
When you guys are, looking at new equipment, new designs, and that sort of thing for everything across Adams Golf, are your touring players like the Tom Watsons, the Kenny Perrys, now Ernie Els coming over from Callaway to join Adams Golf? Are those guys giving you feedback along the way for either how it performs or suggestions on what works, what feels good, that sort of thing?
Absolutely, Chris. They are very much involved. And it's been, we're based here in Dallas, or just outside of Dallas, Texas. And just the past 2 weeks with the Byron Nelson here, and then this week with the Colonial, our engineers are out there on the range with the players, not only our players who we have on our tour staff, but other players who may play some of our clubs. They're out there with the, launch monitors and just talking with the players about what they like about these and what they like about this, and really getting their feedback, because, they are the best players in the world for a reason. They are very dialed into their golf clubs and what performs better than this or that. And, some of them can be very, very, very picky on the design and just kind of the look and feel of the club. They are so dialed in compared to the amateur golfer that it's really mind-boggling to listen to them and have them pick apart a golf club, because some things that you and I would never really consider They are very critical about them. So absolutely, Tom Watson's been a huge part of our company for almost 15 years now, and he's definitely involved in the design and the product development part of the business. Kenny Berry as well, Aaron Baddeley. Like you said, Ernie Els has joined the company after this past year, and we actually, we have a set of irons right now in the marketplace called the XTD irons with a cross cavity design on the back, and we showed them to Ernie, and he loved them. He loved the looks, and then he started kind of tweaking it and saying, hey, look, I need a little bit shorter top line here. If you can kind of decrease the size of this altogether, if you can change it from a darker finish to more of a satin finish that I like to play. So we went out and really redesigned the size and the look of these irons just for Ernie. And so we have this kind of amateur, middle of the road game improvement iron that we're selling right now in golf shops, and then we're going to come along in a month or two and launch the Ernie Els version of that iron to kind of his specs and what he likes. So they're very much involved, and it's fun to have them involved.
I bet. So let's talk a little bit about the developmental tour, the Adams Pro Tour that you guys have. You guys are doing something new, very cool, called Own the Second Shot. Tell our listeners what that is.
Yeah, we are. It's a lot of fun. The Pro Tour series we've been a part of, 8 or 9 years now, and it's a mini tour, regional, here down in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma. Giving aspiring pro golfers a chance to move up in the world and eventually get it onto the PGA Tour. There's a lot of good names that are on the PGA Tour that have played on the Adams Tour, like Bubba Watson and Ryan Palmer and Chad Campbell. So it's definitely a legitimate tour, and we love being a part of it. And this year, to go along with our company movement of owning the second shot, which is very important to our brand and to the players that play Adams golf clubs. We've created an Own the Second Shot opportunity for these guys out on the Adams Pro Tour to actually try and have 1 second chance to get into the weekend and make the cut. So any of the players that are 1 stroke away from making the cut actually get a second chance, a second shot. And they all go out to the 18th hole or to the designated hole that's been picked up by the tournament directors. They all drop a ball. They have 1 shot into the green, the closest to the pin. We consider that the second shot at 200 yards or so, 225 yards into the green. If the guy or 2 guys or whatever it is get closest to the pin, then they are in and they can continue in on the tournament. So it's given those guys a second shot at making some money for the weekend, and it's been very well received. I think the first weekend that they did it, one of the gentlemen who had that second shot and made it into the weekend, he had a hole-in-one, and during the weekend round, and actually made a nice paycheck for the weekend. So his second shot absolutely paid off for him, and he was very grateful for it.
No doubt. So, with the level of touring pros that you guys have, and plus, other people, everyone's got an idea for you, as I'm sure the director of marketing. Hey, why don't you sign this guy? Why don't you do this thing? Hey, I had this great idea. Has anyone ever kind of come to you and given you a thought, and you go, wait, you know what? That's not half bad.
Oh, absolutely, all the time. I am always open to listen, and you hear some crazy things out there, and
no doubt
things that just don't make a lot of sense, and you wish you could do it all. And we definitely have heard a lot of ideas come our way. But yeah, I listen to family members, I listen to friends, I listen to people that don't know much about Adams golf in general. I look at what other companies are doing and what they're doing right. So it's definitely a blank canvas sometimes, because you're always trying to reinvent different things and different ideas the golf industry is needing some excitement here and there, and bringing new players into the game, and keeping the ones that we have in the game. So there's never a time where you can just kind of rest and sit back and say, oh yeah, I nailed that, and we've solved that. It's always changing, and you're always looking at new ways to increase interest and the demand out there. For it's a highly competitive business. It's really unlike any kind of other industry. You really kind of feel like a sports franchise, like you have your loyal fans that wants to see you succeed, and you're trying to win, and it's really competitive. It is a sport, and we all love golf, and so I totally respect what the other companies that we compete with do on a week in, week out, and yearly basis, and we're just trying to fight and keep growing Adams Golf. So it's a lot of fun, and I love hearing from everybody to maybe find that one great idea that really makes a difference.
All right. So to that end, Jeff, as a consumer, if I ask you what makes Adams Golf better than your competition, what is that?
Our bread and butter has been creating golf clubs that give golfers more enjoyment in the game. We've really had some expertise when it comes to the super game improvement side of the business, and the high handicappers, that it's all about the hybrids. It's all about the easy to hit fairway woods and the irons. So I think that's our specialty. I think we it goes back to owning the second shot. We're not thought of as a driver brand. TaylorMade, Callaway, those guys focus so much of their business on the driver. We dial ours into the fairway, and we've done that for many years now. So we're looking at, from 225 yards to 150 yards into the green, and really becoming the best company when a golfer needs a little help, even if he's a tour pro. I mean, we want the guys that we sign to tour deals to be exceptional second shot players. We want, Ernie Els, he came to the company and was ranked, 125th, 130th out on tour from 225 yards into the green. And just this year, with his slight change of equipment, he's now in the top 15, top 20 in that stat category. So
wow,
it's a serious part of our business. It's our bread and butter, the fairway woods, the hybrids, and the irons, and we focus a lot of time and energy and dollars into making the best equipment in that range. So we're excited about that, and I hope the golfer's excited about that as well.
Indeed. So for our listeners, Jeff, where can they go online? Talk about your presence online on social media and how they can go and find out more information about all the things you guys are doing and stay up to date with everything going on at Adams Golf.
Absolutely, I'd love to. We're very active on Twitter these days, and you can find us at Adams Golf, and you can own the second shot. So use hashtag own the second shot on Twitter, and show us your distance. I've got 200 yards into the green here. I'm going to use this hybrid, and we encourage people to use second shot selfies out there. Take a picture of yourself and your hybrid or your fairway wood. Have a little fun with it. That's what we want to do. So definitely follow us on Twitter at Adams Golf. And then you can find us at our website as well at adamsgolf.com, and we're on Facebook and Instagram and all that good stuff. We want to connect with golfers in any way, and give them a little more enjoyment in the game, and everybody have a little more fun with golf. That's what it's all about. It's a great game.
That's fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much for getting up early on a Saturday to be a part of the show. Great talking with you. Hope you'll come back, and join us again sometime. Keep us updated on all the latest things going on at Adams Golf, and we look forward to the opportunity to keep the relationship going.
Hey, I appreciate it, Chris. Thank you so much for the time.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. All the best to you and your family.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Fantastic stuff, folks. All right, everybody. It's time for us to put a bow on this one. My thanks to Kenny Knox and to Jeff Wood for being such outstanding guests, and to our announcer Joe LaGenusa, who always does such an outstanding job kicking the show off every single week. I thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you the very most. Until next week, hit 'em straight, everybody.